First of all, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to present my PhD topic, which is the application of artificial intelligence in COVID-19 severity prediction. My name is Márton Rakovics, and besides being a PhD student here, I'm also a university lecturer at the Department of Statistics at ELTE. My supervisors are Andrea Harnos and Péter Fehérvári. My SMS is Fanni Vezneric, and the statisticians aiding me are Péter Fehérvári and Tamás Kói. So my vision in general is to make AI an everyday tool in healthcare, and specifically my mission to reach this is to develop AI models for different diseases, for severity classification problems. My two ongoing projects right now are investigating the efficacy of early severity prediction models for COVID-19. This is a systematic review and meta-analysis, and the second early stage project is development of a novel deep learning severity prediction tool, again for COVID-19. So regarding the first project, we all know COVID quite well by now. There were around 680 million cases so far worldwide, with around 6.8 million deaths. And currently, we are seeing around 100,000 new cases each day, which is on the same level as May of 2020. One characteristic of this infection is a sudden deterioration of patient condition, which is illustrated by the figure you see. And so correct and early decision on possible ICU admission is important. It is shown that it obviously improves patient outcomes, but you can also see that even in highly developed countries, such as, for example, Switzerland, survival declines above around 70% ICU occupancy. So it's not only important to make early and precise predictions, it's not only important from the patient perspective, but also from a resource management perspective as well. So the fundamental question is which prediction tool to use. There have been a lot of these developed so far, and these can be categorized into some major categories: basic clinical scores, some kind of machine learning tool, or deep learning models. My aim is to quantify the performance differences of these different tools. So the question is, which prediction model should the clinician use, which has the highest performance? And the pre-COVID framework, the population is COVID-19 PCR positive patients. We are comparing different prediction tools, and we are assessing their performance based on area under curve, sensitivity, and specificity. And our initial hypothesis was that deep learning models are superior to other available tools. Systematic search in these four databases yielded around 27,000 results. And after selection, we ended up with a little fewer than 500 articles to extract data from, which we have already done, and we are in the analysis phase. I'm not going to show you a forest plot with hundreds of studies. Rather, I would like to highlight, I think, the most important result in terms of the original question. Which tool to use, which performs best, at least in terms of area under curve, specifically when the outcome is mortality. So you can see that there are two domains here. The top panel shows the different tools, different statistical models. The bottom one shows regions from where the studies are. I must note that we have collected around 40 different possible determinants of performance. And even when we have around 500 models, it's not a trivial task to choose which of these determinants to control for, which are the meaningful confounders. And I've used a recently developed machine learning tool, MetaForest, to select the proper control factors. I'm not showing those. I'm only showing the primary points of interest, we can see that boosting, which is a machine learning model, is clearly superior, both statistically and substantively, compared to the other tool types, other model types. And also, we tend to see better results for Chinese patients for some reason. It's not completely clear so far why that is. If we look at, we chose as the baseline a simple logistic regression model on European data. In that case, the AUC has a value around 0.84. So if I pick randomly a non-severe patient and the severe patient, 85% of the time I can correctly classify them. So the boosting model's 0.9 performance is clearly better. So in general, I would say the clinical implication is that any tool is better than random guessing. In general, all tools seem to be useful. It can be labeled as excellent. And the other performance measures seem to be high as well. And the methodological implication is that, well, we didn't see better performance for deep learning models. Looks like in this problem setting, the advantages could not be utilized. And we also see that out-of-the-box machine learning models, for example, boosting, works best. And the most often used model type, the most simple to implement logistic regression, is significantly weaker than the best available tool. The strength of this study, I think, is that it's a unique review in both terms of depth and breadth. With so high number of studies, I think we can help guide clinicians choosing the best tool. And there are also, I think, important implications for future development of prediction models, not just for COVID-19. And some of the limitations are, well, we could say that maybe prediction of COVID-19 severity is not a hard enough problem to allow deep learning models to shine. I'll talk about this in detail a little bit later. And there's also a high collinearity of possible explaining factors why we see certain performance. It's hard to disentangle these sometimes. And of course, model performance is not independent of those developing it, so kind of user skill. My second project is development of a novel deep learning severity prediction tool and AI model, and it's based on registry data from two registries, the COVID-19 registry and biobank and the Corona registry. These two have combined around 1,700 patients. Fortunately, there's a lot of data collected here, and I would really like to thank all those who worked in this data collection in all these clinics, all these centers. I've already talked about some of the background regarding COVID-19, so a little bit more about the methodological background of AI models. As a Nature review concluded, we've seen that these models perform excellently in image recognition, and we can maybe have the opportunity to use some of the techniques there for other applications, most notably transfer learning, the use of external knowledge. So my research question is, can we use external medical knowledge to improve COVID-19 severity prediction? We'll also work with COVID-19 patients, and we're going to try to build a GPT-style model. I'm sure you are familiar with ChatGPT by now. The fundamental statistical architecture behind the proposed model is very, very similar. So before the deep learning models we've seen so far are simpler ones because they only learn the specific patterns of the given data, and we don't have enough data even with so many COVID patients. So we need to somehow incorporate external knowledge, and then if we can do that, we can utilize the real strength of these models, and we don't need so much specific data. Okay. I plan to finish the first project in the near future and also the other one this summer. Thank you for your kind attention.
Congratulations for your presentation. It's really fascinating. Maybe I just missed, or I still don't understand, but why did you choose for your second project the deep learning method when your first project implicitly says that it is the worst?
Thank you for the excellent questions. You're perfectly right. I tried to indicate that the deep learning models developed for COVID-19 prediction so far have been sort of on the simpler side. So even if the architecture was sophisticated, they did not use sort of this external data. So that type of transfer learning, which makes, for example, ChatGPT so powerful. The same techniques can be used in this case, which have not been so far. Okay, after the presentation, I can go into more detail about what this external, incorporating external knowledge specifically means in terms of modeling. Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. I would like to ask you that you mentioned with the mortality prediction results that China had better mortality prediction data results, and you don't know so far why it is that, but you have any ideas?
Yes. Well, I would say that I think it's possible that simply researchers there have more experience using more sophisticated machine learning models. The composition of research teams there is different compared to Europe, for example. It's not like a definitive result, but we see that a lot of the times the authors of articles are only medical doctors in, for example, Europe, but compared to China, where there are specifically deep learning experts or modeling experts participating, and they're more skillful in constructing models.
Thank you. This was really fascinating, one of the best I've ever seen, the umbrella of TM. And in your first project, you just mentioned the term that with out-of-the-box prediction models, we can do this and that. For me, it's not obvious how out-of-the-box are they. Can anyone easily modify to predict other models in other outcome that out-of-the-box are they, or it's a deeper modification that they need?
Well, yes, if you know what you're doing, again, then in terms of like programming, it's just a couple of lines of code today. So it's that easy, which is not really true for deep learning.
So you have mentioned something in the limitations that contributing factors are collinear. Have you seen any additive effect of the contributing factors, or have you looked at it?
Yes, so when I mentioned this MetaForest machine learning model for the confounder selection, this is also useful to see whether there are important interactions and nonlinear effects of certain determinants on the model performance. So far, I didn't really found anything convincing in this sense.
Thank you.